This is the Poly Art Museum. Bronze head of a pig from Zodiac Fountain of the Yuanming Yuan Qianlong Qing dynasty. These were taken from the Summer Palace, looted, and then bought back by the museum. Monkey. The old Summer Palace, I think. Tiger. And an ox. Keys for a zither. Songji Jianyi, ancient musical instrument. Qin, Southern Xuandi period, Northern Song dynasty. I guess that's a model of what the European section maybe of the Summer Palace looked like. The old Summer Palace. Let's see.
Bronze Hall. Animal face patterned flat bottom jewel. Shang Dynasty, 17th century BC to 11th century BC. Jewel is a unique wine vessel used for drinking in ancient China. It bears resemblance to today's handled cups in usage, but distinguishes itself in shapes. There is a long chute for wine in its front and pointed tail in its back. Two small columns stand on its mouth, and it has a handle on one side and 3 feet below. This piece of antique may date back to the early Shang Dynasty or even as early as the late Xia Dynasty. Since it was made about 3,600 years ago, it can be seen that the decoration of this jewel is rather simple, and its shape is quite crude. Animal face patterned square ding, Shang Dynasty, 17th century BC to 11th century BC. Fang Ding is one of the bronze ritual vessels of the highest level in Shang Dynasty. It is generally owned by prominent aristocrats and requires meticulous workmanship to cast. So it is with this bronze Fang Ding of the late Shang Dynasty. It is decorated with paired horn dragon pattern on the upper part of its body and large patterns of scroll-horned animal faces on the lower part, beneath which are delicate cloud and thunder pattern. Its 4 feet are engraved with cloud and banana leaf pattern. Although it's not large in size, it displays exquisite casting technique and a sense of layers through its various patterns. There are 2 inscriptions cast into its inside. The 4-character inscription on the one side shows this Fang Ding was cast by an aristocrat for his elder generation, and the first character of the 2-character inscription on the bottom is the name of the clan to which the aristocrat belonged.
I was on Ghost Street, named after Gui food dish, last night. Presentation food vessels.
绥公式 Western Zhou Dynasty, 1046 BC to 771 BC. This bronze shoe is a food vessel that dates back 2,900 years ago in mid-Western Zhou period. The original lid is now missing. Although its appearance is by no means imposing, its inner bottom is engraved with a 98-character inscription. The earliest documentary record that contains the tale of King Yu tamed the flood, and the notion of engaging in politics with ethics, which would be extremely important for the study of China's ancient history. The inscription can be regarded as a prose of political comments whose diction and style are unprecedented in the Chinese bronze inscriptions of both Western and Eastern Zhou dynasty, but are quite close to the existing document Shangshu and other ancient literature. Thus, it is of significant value for exploring the origins of Chinese ancient books and articles. For such reasons, this inscription is acclaimed by scholars as the most valuable text of the Zhou dynasties. According to the opinion of Professor Li Xueqing, chief scientist of the Xiashangzhou Chronology Project and former director of the Cass Institute of History, this bronze shoe was then made by the lord of the state of Sui, which was established by descendants of Shun, one of the legendary 3 emperors and 5 sovereigns in ancient China. The inscription on this shoe is beautiful in fonts, concise in words, and thinly scattered in character arrangements. The first part of the inscription records how King Yu tamed the flood by flattening certain hills, blocking the flood, and dredging channels to lead the flood waters to the sea, before demarcating the 9 districts in ancient China, and specifying different tributes and taxes according to different land conditions of each district. When the flood finally subsided, people were resettled on the plain from those hills and mountains that they had fled to. For all his credits, King Yu was hailed as the king for the people. Then the inscription elaborates on ethics and the notion of governing with ethics, and instructs the people to conduct themselves based on ethics. Hu Lei, Shang Dynasty, 17th century BC to 11th century BC. Lei is a large vessel in ancient China that was used to hold wine or water. Dating back about 3,100 years ago, this item with vortex pattern is a typical bronze lei in late Shang Dynasty. There are ring knobs symmetrically located on its shoulders and another small one near the bottom in the middle of the first 2, all of which are shaped into ox head. They not only achieve the decorative effect, but are very practical in that they make it easier to tilt the lei after it becomes quite heavy when filled with wine. It can be lifted up with a rope through the 2 ring knobs on the shoulder, and then one just has to hook on the small knob to tilt the lei for wine. Such bronze lei of Shang Dynasty currently survive in small quantities, of which the ones with a lid are even rarer. This lei not only has a lid, but a 2-character inscription on the inside of the lid. The first character is a pictograph of a house, and the other a wild boar pinched by 2 hands. This inscription is supposed to be the emblem of the tribe who cast this bronze lei. It's estimated that the tribe might be quite skilled at hunting wild boars, or that it might have once captured a large wild boar. The 2-character emblem is also found in 2 bronze jue, 1 bronze gui housed by the Poly Art Museum. They may come from the same ancient tribe that has vanished a long time ago and cannot be traced and ascertained. Animal face patterned hoop-handled Hu, Shang Dynasty, 17th century BC to 11th century BC. This small and delicate Hu was cast in late Shang Dynasty and is well preserved. There is a hoop handle starting from the two sides of its belly and a lid on its mouth, which is connected with the handle through a small chain. It's quite amazing to see that the connection between various parts remains intact after 3,000 years. The whole body of this Hu is decorated with animal face patterns that are not arranged symmetrically but consist of 3 different units, which is extremely rare to be seen. Thundercloud and inverted leaves patterned Gui, Shang Dynasty, 17th century BC to 11th century BC. Gui was used to hold cooked food in ancient China. This bronze Gui of late Shang Dynasty has thunder and cloud pattern on its shoulder and ring foot, and triangular pattern similar to inverted leaves on its belly. Its large size is rare to be seen, but what makes it even rarer is that it is covered in blue rust almost the whole body. The major component of the blue rust is copper sulfide, which was formed during its burial through reacting with surrounding sulfur-containing substances. It needed special conditions to be generated, thus making it more valuable than the commonly seen green rust of copper oxide. That's why it was called the sapphire blue by Beijing Antiquities galleries before. Hu Jue, 1 pair, Shang Dynasty, 17th century BC to 11th century BC. These 2 bronze jewels of the late Shang Dynasty boast meticulous workmanship and a vigorous profile. They are decorated with 3 layers of patterns from top to bottom, that is animal face, thunder and cloud, and banana leaf. The various and distinct layers and the clear and structured patterns have made them by far one of the most delicate bronze jewel wares of the Shang Dynasty. On the inside of the handle, there is a 2-character inscription of whose first word is a pictograph of a house, and the other a wild boar pinched by 2 hands. It's supposed to be the emblem of the tribe who cast this bronze jewel, which is also found in the Hu Lei and Hu Gui collected in the Poly Art Museum. They may come from the same ancient tribe that has vanished a long time ago and cannot be traced and ascertained. Ziran Gu, late Shang Dynasty, 17th century BC to 11th century BC. Gu is a drinking vessel used in ancient China. These 2 gu wares was cast 3,000 years ago in late Shang Dynasty and is well preserved. They are decorated with exquisite banana leaf pattern and animal face pattern that are delicately structured. They are quite typical for bronze gu items in late Shang Dynasty. Animal face patterned gu, late Shang Dynasty, 17th century BC to 11th century BC. This gu of late Shang Dynasty dates back about 3,100 years ago. It's quite different from those common slender gu wares of the same period, in that it's about 3 to 4 times larger. In fact, It is by far one of the largest bronze guwares of Shang Dynasty to be seen. Some experts even called it the King of Gu, though the one preferred by businessmen, that is rice wine or fruit wine, contains less alcohol. It can still be regarded as a booze-up if they use this giant gu to drink. The decoration of this gu is also quite distinctive. It has animal face pattern belly and ring foot between which are 4 hollowed-out holes. 2 of them are shaped into cross, the other 2 elongated strip. The difference between these holes makes this gu quite unique. There is a protruding inscription on the inside of the ring foot, which is the emblem of an ancient tribe that has vanished a long time ago. Bianshi Gui, 1 pair. Western Zhou Dynasty, 1046 BC to 771 BC. This pair of bronze guiwares of the late Western Zhou Dynasty has the same inscription, which consists of 3 lines, altogether 18 characters, indicating they were cast by an aristocrat whose family name was Bian. One of them has lost its lead, but the other is well preserved. A famous collector in Beijing once owned the former gui that had emerged before the 1950s. There is no rust on its surface after a long time of being held in hand for appreciation. The well-preserved gui was collected by an expert of the Poly Art Museum in 1999 from overseas. Its surface is covered with rust, indicating that it has been excavated recently. The excavated site of these 2 guis differs in that they were unearthed at different times. According to the ritual use of gui in Western Zhou Dynasty, these 2 gui items are likely to have been separated from each other over 2,000 years ago. It is a rare blessing that they can be reunited today. Shi Yu Ding, Western Zhou Dynasty, 1046 BC to 771 BC. This piece of antique has the shape and decoration of a typical ding of mid-Western Zhou Dynasty. On its inside, there is an inscription of 10 lines, altogether 92 characters, indicating that it was cast by an aristocrat named Shi Yu to commemorate the fact that the king of Zhou had met him in his ancestral temple and given him a leopard coat as a reward. This inscription contains many words whose content is of significant importance. The first 10 characters clearly mark the exact year, month, moon phase, and heavenly stems and earthly branches. There are only around 30 antiques in the world that have similar detailed information as this thing. It's also closely connected with Shi Yu Gui, garnered by the National Museum of China, and is of great value to the research of the history of Western Zhou bronzeware. Experts generally believe that the King of Zhou mentioned in the inscription refers to King Gong of Zhou, which means that this bronze thing was cast in the 4th year when King Gong ascended the throne. It was a standard vessel at that time. Four-legged bronze thing, Western Zhou Dynasty, 1046 BC to 771 BC. As the Chinese idiom goes, standing like the 3 legs of a ding. Indeed, a typical Asian round ding has 3 feet, which is also consistent with the mechanics principle. that is, 3 points determine a plan. However, this rounding of Mid-Western Zhou dynasty is an exception, in that it has 4 legs under its round body. It's by far the only 4-legged thing to be seen. Thus, holding rare value to the study of the shape, structure, use system, etc. of ancient Chinese bronze thing. It's a pity that the original inscription of 6 lines, around 30 characters, is too vague to be recognized. Yin Ho Hu, 1 pair. Western Zhou dynasty, 1046 BC to 771 BC. This pair of bronze Hu-wares was cast in the late Western Zhou dynasty, dating back 2,800 years ago. They are 55 centimeters high and have a thick and strong body, which displays exquisite craftsmanship and impressive style. These valuable Hu-wares have a large round lid which is decorated with a flying phoenix. The double corrugated lines patterned on their bodies are relatively simple but quite imposing. The lid and the body are both engraved with a 13-character inscription, which reads, "This pair of travel Hu-wares is cast by Marquis Ying. Descendants of the Marquis should cherish and preserve them forever to worship their ancestors." This indicates that their owners were the Marquis of the Ying state, a vassal kingdom which now refers to areas around today's Pingdingshan of Henan province. At that time, King Wu of Zhou, after toppling down Shang dynasty, started appointing vassal marquises, and one of his sons, or his brother suggested by some people, built the state of Ying in areas around Pingdingshan. Over a long period of time, acting as a guard of Zhou dynasty, the state of Ying played a major role in defending Zhou dynasty against alien invasion from the watersheds of Han River, and thus it maintained a close relationship with Zhou dynasty. Animal mask patterned Yan, Western Zhou dynasty, 1046 BC to 771 BC. This animal face patterned Yan has a history of about 2,900 years. It works almost the same as today's steamers. It consists of 2 parts, namely zhen and ge, with a peach-shaped grid in between. The grid, called bizi in Chinese, is connected with the body through small rings and has 5 crisscross veins in it. The upper parts of the 3 cylindrical feet are hollow, and thus can be filled with water. If the water in ge boils after being heated by burning wood among those feet, it will evaporate into vapor, go through the veins, and steams food on the grid. The ge of this yan is decorated with 3 protruding monster heads, whose ears, noses, eyebrows, horns, mouth, and teeth display fine workmanship. There is a 2-line inscription of 6 characters inscribed on the inside of this yan. The last character clearly indicates the name of this vessel at that time, that is, Yan. Gui, Western Zhou dynasty, 1046 BC to 771 BC. This pair of bronze Gui wares of early to mid-Western Zhou dynasty has an unusual shape, in that they bear much resemblance to today's Go game boxes, which have a small mouth but a swollen body. The only difference in shape lies in an additional pair of animal ears on the body of Gui. On the inside bottom, there is a 9-character inscription which clearly marks the last name of the family, Mu Yang. They belonged to a larger clan named Wei. The same is with many bronze wares excavated from Zhuangbai Horde, Fufeng County, Shanxi Province, in 1976. However, this pair of guis has a longer history, thus making it quite valuable to the study of the famous large clan, Wei in Western Zhou Dynasty and the Zhuangbai Horde.
Little bat.
Li Gui of the Ying State, Western Zhou Dynasty, 1046 BC to 771 BC. This bronze gui of mid-Western Zhou Dynasty is quite special in that it bears much resemblance to the mirror case-shaped Zun of Qing in Han dynasties. There is a 5-line inscription of 57 characters in its bottom and lead to the effect that one day in the 11th month of the Zhou calendar, King of Zhou paid a visit to Gu Cheng of Wei State. But he didn't forget Ying State, so he praised Ni, member of the royal family of Ying State, and granted him a reward of 300 shells, money, and 4 horses. To commemorate this event, Ni caused his bronze gui to perform worship ceremonies in the morning and at night. So the inscription clearly shows who caused this gui. According to other bronze inscriptions, Ni, member of the royal family of Ying State, proves to be the son of the then Marquis Si of the Ying State. Ni and one of his sons also became the Marquis of Ying State afterwards. Of all the unearthed bronze wares of Ying State, this gui has the longest inscription that holds significant value to the study of the history of Ying State, and especially Zhou Dynasty's relationship with its vassal states like Ying and Wei. Xianding, Western Zhou Dynasty, 1046 BC to 771 BC. This small tripod is a very rare food-heating vessel in mid-Western Zhou Dynasty. There is a circular tray below its belly on which charcoal can be put to heat the food in the small tripod. Similar bronze wares have only been found in Rujiazhuang of Baoji City of Shanxi Province. More specifically, there is a bell with animal face-shaped patterns in fine exterior profile under the tray. Such kinds of bronze wares as gui and zun have been found to have bells on the bottom, while this is the first time to find a tripod with a bell hanging on the bottom. There is an inscription of 3 characters on the inner bottom as Xian Zuo Bao, indicating that it was made by the aristocrat called Xian in the Western Zhou Dynasty.
And this one has no audio. Yinggu Pan water vessel. A little dark, that shows you clear the bell. I think it's pronounced Tatui, the animal mask motif.
Dragon patterned ding with a spout. Spring and autumn period, 770 BC to 476 BC. This bronze ding has a small spout on one side of its lip. It was then called Yi Ding because liquid inside this ding can be poured out through the spout for washing hands. This small ding should be cast in the state of Jing in early to mid-spring and autumn period. It is quite compact and delicate with a unique shape. The spout is shaped into a tiger head, whose mouth is wide open for the flow of liquid. The handle on the other side is shaped into a tapir head. This ding has a flat cover, upon which there is a beast-shaped knob in the middle. The beast is actually a double-winged dog that stands upright with its head held up high. There is another beast decorated on the cover, both in front of and behind the dog. This beast has one tiger head and two coiled dragon bodies that are entangled with each other. This thing, full of mystery, displays unusual design. Dragon-patterned ding covered by a cap with dragon and tiger-shaped bottoms. Spring and Autumn period, 770 to 476 BC. This ding, which was cast in Qing state during the early to mid-spring and autumn period, shows excellent foundry technique and is one of the master bronze works of early Qing. Its ingenious design can be embodied everywhere. There is a flat cap over the ding, with a ring handle in the middle. Tenons on both sides are inserted in the ears of the ding. The edge of the cap is made thicker than the middle, with 3 clips to make the cap fasten tightly to the ding. If a stick is added through the handle and the 2 ears, this ding will be so much sealed that there is no need to worry the food inside would ever spill out. The edge of the cap is also decorated with 3 standing dragons and 3 lying tigers, which are equally splendid.
Hermetically sealed. Predecessor to the aluminum can, huh? I guess you could put dry rice in there and it would last a couple years if it was husked. Not if it was not husked. Without the air, it wouldn't rot, I guess. Hand supported by 4 tigers. Water vessel, spring, autumn period. Can see that one a little better.
Jinghe, spring and autumn period, 770 to 476 BC. This vessel of spring and autumn period, with an ingenious design, is well preserved. Its upper part is shaped like a bowl, and lower part a pot, called li in ancient China, with a grate in between. On the pot there is a short spout and a long handle artfully decorated with a beast head bending inward at the end. The body of this he is patterned with curled-up snakes and triangle cloud, and at the forehead of the beast there is a 1-character inscription that is Jing. Such kind of bronze vessels are used for mixing and heating wine. They were quite popular along the Huai River basin, and dozens of similar he-wares have been unearthed at Anhui province, in which Jinghe possesses the highest artistic value. The inscription has made it even more precious.
The audio guy can teach you good pronunciation. I picked up the h sound when I went to Hebei province to hike the Great Wall from here. And then the Anhui, she said Anhui province. I always thought it was Anhui. Ding with interlock pattern. The Shanghai Museum is built to resemble a ding. its outward architecture. You get a real good view of it when you look at it from the Tomorrow Square building in the lobby of the JW Marriott, overlooking People's Park and Square. You can see the shape of it. Whereas the National Museum here that just reopened in Beijing is a Soviet-style building. Hmm. 475 to 221. So that would be the Han? No, Warring States period right before the Western Han.
Bird and beast patterned bronze hull, Warring States period, 475 to 221 BC. This large hull was cast 2,400 years ago in the early Warring States period. It is inlaid with emerald patterns. Together with those triangle lattice, this hull has 16 layers of patterns from top to bottom. The main pattern of this hull contains dragons, tigers, animal faces, deer, and many other animals, which are quite abstract in shape, showing high artistic value. These emerald patterns are made from pure copper. Their purplish red stands out clearly against scenarios or golden body in terms of color and gloss, thus making them excellent decorations. The whole body of this hull is inlaid with red bronze patterns, indicating that secondary casting technique must have been used here. It is a rare work of art in that it has delicate patterns and displays artistic craft. With inlaid pictures of social life, one pair, Warring States period, 475 to 221 BC. This pair of hull jars of early Warring States period dates back about 2,400 years ago. The inlaid pictures on it illustrate the local archery ceremony, the grand archery ceremony, and other scenes of life of those aristocrats in Zhou dynasty. From top to bottom, this vessel can be divided into 4 layers, of which the top one displays scenes of shooting and picking mulberries of the aristocrats. In the picture of shooting, a group of male aristocrats with a dagger on their waist and a ball in hands lines up and heads for a high platform for archery training. There are some other people busy preparing food and wine before Ding and Zhu vessels for the use of those aristocrats after their training. In the picture of picking mulberries, a group of aristocratic men and women are gathering mulberries in pairs while playing with each other. Those portrait scenes with various figures are quite lively and interesting. The second layer is composed of several units, depicting scenes of archery competition, bird hunting, and dancing of the aristocrats. Swan geese line up to fly in the sky, beneath which there are 3 half-kneeling men aiming at those geese with arrows. 3 geese have already been shot and are falling to the ground. Meanwhile, the archery competition is held on a meticulous platform. The target is placed before the platform, on which stand 5 people. There is a large tent under the platform. 6 people, kneeling or standing inside the tent, are quite different from one another. The third layer contains pictures of battles fought on land or water. In the picture of land battle, defenders of a city with dagger axes, spears, and other weapons in hand are fighting to ward off enemies' attack, and those intruders are escalating and charging forward, making the battle exceedingly fierce as a person has been beheaded. The fourth layer, that is the lowest layer, is about warriors fighting against beasts. It also has animal patterns. There are 4 pictures with each consisting of a warrior holding a dagger axe or a spear and 7 different and highly abstract beasts, which is quite unusual. Bronze wares decorated with such kind of pictures were popular in Shanxi from late spring and autumn period to early Warring States period, but few have been unearthed. Their rich contents are of great historical and artistic value.
They said mulberry leaves, huh? I guess to feed to the silkworms. Those are ducks on top, huh?
Dragon patterned bronze P. Warring States period, 475 to 221 BC. This kind of pot, known as P in ancient times, has a flat abdomen and looks like jugs used while marching. These portable pots are originally invented and used by nomads. Because of their peculiar shape and complicated casting process, they are rather rare in number, thus being cherished by many people. These 2 flat pots of the early Warring State period are elegant in shape and exquisite in casting. Their mouths are inlaid with copper, necks decorated by a round of interlacing triangular copper, and abdomen divided by copper into 5 rows of checkers, which are inlaid with meticulous and structured dragon patterns.
Wang Hu Ding food vessel Warring States period with an inscription. You see these imitated, the middle one there, a lot in porcelain in the later Ming period.
Short-legged tape patterned Dui, 1 pair, Warring States period, 475 to 221 BC. Dui is a utensil used to hold food. This bronze dui of the early Warring States period, with rare shape and structure, is different from the common spherical dui wares. 3 circular engraved buttons adorn its lid, one of which depicts a situation where a fierce tiger clutches a person with its mouth widely open, biting and tearing. Some experts hold that this image of biting tiger is chosen to manifest the supreme power of the aristocrats on their subjects and servants, while others believe that since tiger was once regarded as a totem, the biting tiger is not actually biting a person, but conducting sexual intercourse with a person instead, which is a concept worshipped by the ancient people. The other 2 buttons show respectively a tiger tearing a bull and a young elephant lying on its side. These sculptures are small in size, but vivid and lifelike in texture. Even the fuzz on the tiger and the scales on the elephant are etched clearly. Besides, the combination of tiger and elephant as decorations is unprecedented.
That's bestiality, huh? It could be interpreted either way.
Filament patterned Zun, Han Dynasty, 206 BC to AD 24. This bronze Zun is a wine vessel in Eastern Han Dynasty. Its body, like a flat and short cylinder, is decorated with scale-shaped or diamond-shaped filament patterns on the surface and 3 tiger-shaped short feet at the bottom. The cap of this Zun is shaped into Boshan Mountain with complicated decorations, reproducing the fairy mountain over the sea in the mind of people of 2,000 years ago. Above the rolling mountains and floating clouds, a rose finch is flapping its wings. The mountain is haunted with wild beasts like dragons, tigers, deer, keelings, jackals, wolves, etc. They are running and leaping, charming in their own ways. Meanwhile, 2 monks are dancing happily. Such sculpture of Boshan Mountain is commonly seen on adoma burners like Boshan burner, but rarely used to decorate bronze Zun like this one.
Boshan Mountain. Not sure where that is. Near Bohai, maybe? Out towards the Yellow Sea.
Long human-shaped shaft lamp, Han Dynasty, 206 BC to AD 24. This bronze lamp of Western Han Dynasty is a long dual-function lamp of Han Dynasty to be known for now. Its top is a round lamp tray, which consists of 2 ring tracks. The inner ring has a thread of wick, used for holding a candle. The outer ring is an oil lamp, whose outer wall has a small dragon head-shaped spout. The wick soaked in oil can extend out through the spout and become a lamp when lighted. The most artistic design about this lamp is the 3 small sculptures under the lamp plate. The sculptures are quite vivid. Half squatting down, they manage to lift up the thing on their shoulders. All of these 3 beings have a flat face with hair coiled up to form a bun. They only wear a pair of T-shaped shorts and have tattoos over a large area of their bodies, making them extremely similar to today's Japanese sumo wrestler. This lamp is one of the important real evidence to prove that Japan sumo originates from China.
You heard that the sumo comes across the Silk Road from a Turkic form of wrestling that was used to entertain the traders when they stopped at each camp along the way. When I was in Zhujiajiao, outside Shanghai, they had a beautiful jade mural on the wall of the entire Silk Road. And they show some of those camps with the men doing the Turkic, from all the Stan countries. It's a type of wrestling that evolved into sumo. That's what I had heard. So it's more Central Asian, I think, than Chinese Han. For old lang syne.
Changnu-Qi, Western Han Dynasty, 206 BC to AD 24. The Changnu-Qi was used to assist in drawing the crossbow, Nu, in ancient China. In the Qing and Han dynasties of more than 2,000 years ago, the crossbow, Nu, was a kind of heavy weapons which was difficult to draw by one hand, especially in the small chariots. Thus, this kind of appliance was designed by the smart Chinese ancestors. They could be fixed on the front part of the chariot's carriages in pairs by the rectangular adapting pipe on the back end. The front part of the Chengnu Qi incurved an arc-shaped groove, with the top of its ledge slightly curved. Putting the cow into the groove and pulling the string oblique upward, the crossbow could be drawn relatively easily, with the groove sharing the pressure. The part connecting the groove extends forwardly, forming a parabolic cylinder which can bear the drawn crossbow. And when launching, people can aim and shoot by just pushing it forward along the parabola. This short Chengnu Qi solves the big problems on the battlefield. The top end of this pair of Chengnu Qi of the Western Han Dynasty shapes like an animal head. The whole body is inlaid colorful swirling cloud-shaped pattern with gold and silver. This is one of the most luxurious and splendid Chengnu Qis of the Western Han Dynasty by now.
The ability to innovate for mobile warfare you see over and over again in history is what allows regime change for battles, famous battles. In Hastings, it was the stirrup. The Mongols had a compound bow that allowed them to fire on horseback without the bow hitting the horse and being jostled. Could fire further than an English longbow. That was like 2-3 times its size. You could also swivel to fire while holding it. So here we see the crossbow. It says Han, they said, huh? Western Han 206 BC, AD 23. There's a brief interlude in like 980. It's weird. Between like 9 to 23 AD, I thought, is when you have, what is it? That's why there's a Western and Eastern Han. A usurper. 27.
Ban Wen-yue Battle Axe, Warring States Period, 475 to 221 BC. There used to be 18 kinds of weapons in ancient China, one of which was yue, the battle axe. In Shang and Zhou dynasties, yue was also a symbol of political and military power. This Ban Wen-yue, dating back to Warring States period, belonged to one great aristocrat of Chu State in southern China 2,400 years ago. This antique is very special in shape. The rear part is the same with the popular bronze ge, dagger, of that time, while the front end is in the shape of yue, warring axe, in the Central Plains region of ancient China with a large circular blade, thereby forming 3 edges of the upper, lower, and left direction. This special shape makes people can use it to make forward thrust, kill people by the hook, and make lateral attacks, which is much more powerful than the general ge and yue. Another incredible feature of this piece of yue are the silver-white spots on its surface, each of which, when observed through an electron microscope, turns out to be in the shape of a scorpion. That is, there are 3 small pokes stretching around every irregular dot. Some experts speculate they are in the shape of Scorpio, one of the 28 stars according to ancient Chinese astronomy. This pattern made of copper tin alloy is difficult to distinguish through naked eyes. It is neither embedded into the surface nor by casting, and nor the patina. The craftsmanship is still a mystery by now.
Chemical process. But not patina, they said, huh? Oh, primitive form of electroplate. Shangzhou. Helmet with animal face, Shang Dynasty. Sword with gold inlaid inscription, Warring States period. Lacquer case replica, Warring States. A caduceus. Lacquer case for the axe head. Start a new video here, I guess.